Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. DeMarco. I've sat on many, many committees, and I've got enormous respect for your work. I'm sort of disappointed by the attack that you suffered from my Liberal colleague, as though you didn't know what you were doing. It strikes me when you said that you were very disappointed with the responses of the department, that it doesn't bode well. I mean, we're talking about a government's commitment uh, to making Canada respect its international commitments, and yet we see that the focus all along, as the department said, was the financial needs of big oil. I want to ask you about your comments, though, where you said that Canada was once a leader in the fight against climate change. These are your words. However, after a series of missed opportunities, it has become the worst performer of all G7 nations since the landmark Paris Agreement on climate change in 2015. That was the meeting where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, Canada's back. How is it possible that after Canada came back in 2015, we are now the worst performer of all G7 nations? Can you explain that?
I can't explain it, but I can provide some context to that. When I spoke about Canada being a leader, and I participated in the Rio conference in 1992, and Canada was definitely a leader in pushing other industrialized nations to adopt the conventions at Rio. Canada was a leader in hosting the 1988 conference that got climate change on the map. But those are intentions, those are good deeds, but they weren't followed up by outcomes and results. How bad has it been? Well, since Paris, we've had an increase in emissions, and the other 6 G7 nations are doing better than we have since Paris. Wow. But it's not just since Paris. Since Rio, since 1992, Canada is the worst performer of the G7. So it's not just a recent past, but the whole 3 decades. Canada's emissions have gone up by over 20%, while most of the G7 countries, their emissions have gone down, and a couple of them are around the same as they were in 1990. We're up by 20%. That's a significant outlier compared to the rest of the G7.
An outlier. Thank you. I understand my time is up. I just would ask, is it possible for us to get a list of the names of the companies that receive money? Because it would certainly help if we get a sense of, if they're very well profitable companies, it would be helpful to have a sense of how this program played out.
I'll have to check in to that, and we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Angus.
Great. Thanks, everyone. That concludes our first round.